So to bring me to today, what are we doing today?
2020 was quite a year for everyone. So global pandemic and all the uncertainty around work, the future of work, and a lot of divide, right? So 2020, it's like, we're already started, I think, for me, it already started with the Brexit voting, in or out. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck's just happened? And it's such a topic of conversation. You have to hear people's opinion, and some people's opinions you're hearing, you're like, oh my God, I didn't realise you're such a prick. It was really like eye-opening, right? Or so uneducated, how foolish of you to think that. And then all of these themes of like empire and colonialisation start coming out in some of the narratives that you're hearing, and you're like, oh, this is horrible. This is really, this is horrible for a black British person to have to endure and listen to. And then the pandemic, and then George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, and the response to Black Lives Matter. And I was like, I remember being at home and like the videos going round, and I'm like, yeah, it's fucked up. And my wife's like, is that it? And I'm like, what do you mean, is that it? And then I remember like certain people I know, like white people I know, being like, how terrible is that? And I'm thinking, where the fuck have you been? Like, it had become normal to me to see that, right? Those types of videos and those types of situations of police brutality or just that overt like racism was normalised to me. Like, as a man of colour, it was normal. So I'm looking at that going, yeah, it's fucked up. Like, saw that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then I started to really kind of get gripped by this reaction, this global reaction to it. And I'm thinking, wow, there's like this viral moment of realisation of the racism that black people face. Because when we talk about racism, it's not shaped about, it's not, when we talk about racism, it's not like the racism that black people face. It's racism in all its formats. So whether you're a white person getting racism, an Asian person, a Jewish person, whatever race you are, it's racism, right? But actually, the group that has it the hardest when it comes to racism is black people, because of the visual identifier, right? So you can be racist to an Eastern European in England, but only when you realise they're Eastern European, because when you look at them, they look like you, and you go, there's no issue, right? So it's very much based on the visual for black people, and there's no sort of defining terms or understanding about that experience from the black lens. There is from the Jewish lens, right? It's called anti-Semitism, right? It's got it's even got its like own sanctions within policy and law. Like, if you're anti-Semitic, what happens? You get cancelled, right? But if you're racist to a black person, what happens? Pretty much nothing. So it kind of opened my eyes to like this disparity in how racism towards black people was just kind of swept under the carpet. So I kind of got quite charged up and emotional about it, and was like, what do I do? So I was one of the people that organised a march in Brighton during the kind of days and weeks after George Floyd, and I was quite impacted by people's response, both positive and negative, right? And I had a lot of incidents with individuals who I had respect for, and again, we're in a corporate space, who revealed their racism. And that was horrible to listen to and to see and watch. So just had to sort of cut ties with quite a few people that were more concerned about pulling down the statue in Bristol than they were with why it was being pulled down. Like, it was a real moment of like, I need to cut some people out, and I need to I need to change direction. And I had been, for the year previous to that, trying to start a carnival in Brighton. And everywhere I turned to, it was like, yeah, no, I can't help you there. There's already Pride. Not interested. No, not answering calls, not responding to emails. And
specifically, what was the carnival?
So if you, do you know Notting Hill Carnival?
No.
Well, we'll go
Should I know this?
You should. We'll go this year. So Notting Hill Carnival is a long-established carnival in Notting Hill in London. That again is a similar concept to Pride in the sense that it's born out of activism, right? And it's a celebration of West Indian Caribbean culture. So it's bringing a West Indian Caribbean carnival to the streets of London, and it's like it's over 1 million people, and it's a big deal.
That's
right?
really cool.
So I go most years, and I'm going for a long time. I go with my family, go with friends, and I really enjoy it. I get to bask and soak in black culture in like no other way that I can do in the UK. And it's quite therapeutic, and it's just a great time. And I was like, a mini one of those in Brighton would be brilliant. It's perfect. Brighton's got that kind of reputation for acceptance and tolerance and inclusivity. Why not? And everywhere was no. After George Floyd, guess what happens?
Yeah, everyone says yes.
Yeah, everyone wanted to answer my phone call and respond to my emails. And I was sort of brainstorming with a friend at the time, and we were like, this needs to be more. This needs to be more than just an annual carnival. There isn't an organisation in Brighton to support black people. There isn't one. And like, I'm like, oh my God, I'll be 40 this year, but this is going back 4 or 5 years. There's never been an organisation in Brighton to support black people. And you're like, what? That's mad. That's mental.
Yeah, considering how supportive it is.
Yeah.
Of all other differences.
Exactly, right? And I spent, like I said, I spent 3 years living in Germany, loads of them. I spent 3 years at university in Nottingham, loads of them.
That's
so I'm like, why is Brighton so immune to its responsibility socially in this area? And I think it's because it's tainted with this, inclusive reputation based on its success and positivity around gender, sexuality, identity. But it's shit when it comes to diversity, right? So we started thinking about how this could be more than like a performative carnival, and that's when BARCO was formed. So BARCO is an acronym for Black Anti-Racism Community Organisation. And we formed a community interest company. And the first kind of 18 months, we tried to be everything. We tried to be like, if you need support because you've got something going on at work, if you need support because you need housing, if you need a solicitor, if you need a black doctor, if you all these different things and challenges that the black community here are experiencing, we tried to answer all of them and signpost them, and it was just not doable. It was exhausting and draining and emotional and just not the right thing to try and offer. The service is needed, but a bunch of volunteers trying to do that, it was not the right space.
Yeah.
So we regrouped and pivoted after 18 months, and we were like, I say we, there's 2 other trustees, there's 12 on the steering committee, and we've got a carnival committee of about 35 people, so we're fairly well established now. We decided to pivot, and we were like, what have we had the most joy doing, and what has our audience had the most benefit from? And it was in the events that we did about. So we said, let's just focus on the events. So we now run a Domino's Club, which originally was targeted at getting elders back out of the home who'd been isolated during the lockdowns and integrating with society and having something that they could enjoy together. And that's now, that just works. It's just a monthly event that works really well. We do a networking event, which is exclusive for black people. And that's been a real hit, which is where I interviewed Omar that we were speaking about earlier, and the last one interviewed Michaela Loach. So that's been brilliant. And then we do the flagship carnival.
Wow.
We do ad hoc events throughout the year, but we kind of got some staple ones, and that's been a brilliant journey to watch it grow. And it's a not-for-profit organisation, so there's challenges with all of that because that's just a difficult space to be in. But we're in year 4, and this will be our biggest year yet.
Wow.
Across all the metrics.
Yeah.
So it's been a rewarding journey, and there's more to come. The longer term plan is to establish a Pan-African Saturday school here, so black and brown children can go to a school on a Saturday and learn about their culture, because it's not taught in schools, it's not part of the national curriculum, and build that sense of community.